kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello and good evening, y'all, on this lovely Friday. My name is Double K, and I am here to talk a little football with you. This is Double K's Classroom, episode number 75. And on this episode, we are going to talk the NFL playoff picture at this late point in the season. At this point, we are at week 15, I believe. Yes, we are at week 15. And the playoff standings are pretty tight in both conferences. Teams like Baltimore, New England, Kansas City, Green Bay, Detroit are all trying to get themselves a little bit of that home cooking. So let's take a look at how things are kind of banging out right now. The Ravens have already clinched their division in the AFC. The AFC North, they're 12-2, dominating everybody, 8-2 in the conference, 3-1 in division. They're just a very dominant force. Lamar Jackson is a beast and a half when it comes to playing the game of football. He just recently, with this Thursday's win over the Jets, broke Michael Vick's single-season record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a season, hitting the 1,100-yard mark. Michael Vick hit the 1,083. He's at the 1,100-yard mark with a couple of games left to go. Baltimore, like I said, 12-2. They're at least a game up on New England, who game and a half at this point until New England plays this weekend. If New England loses, then they'll be 2 games up with 2 to go and most likely clinch home field as well. I believe Baltimore's already clinched home field, but we'll see. New England sits at 10-3, 4-0 within their division, 6-3 within the conference, which is almost a game and a half behind Baltimore there, but they sit in the number 2 seed looking for home field. Tom Brady and the boys just aren't what they used to be. They tried to bring in Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon, but neither one of those experiments worked out. They're got Tom Brady out there playing with this kid N'Keal Harry, his good old boy Julian Edmond, and who was the other one? Denarius Thomas. No, they let go of Denarius Thomas. Like, wow. And there's talk that they wanted Emmanuel Sanders before the 49ers traded for him, but we'll talk about how huge of a pickup that was for them a little bit later Kansas City sits at number 3, having already clinched the division, with Oakland being the second place team in the AFC West, sitting at 6-7. So Kansas City sitting at 9-4 is the 3 seed, and would be playing a home game in the wild card round. They're 7-3 in conference, 4-0 within their division. Looks like they're going to wrap up another AFC West title after for a little bit it looked like Oakland was going to challenge them when they were at 6 and they were both sitting at 6-4, and Oakland could have came out of that with a 1-game division lead when they met head to head, but just couldn't get the job done. So. The 4th place team on there is 8-5, leading the NFC or the AFC South. The Houston Texans, with Tennessee right on their heels, sitting just outside of the playoffs at 8-5. They're 3-1 in their division, 7-3 overall. They own the tiebreak over Tennessee based on best win percentage in division games, so they have a better division record, with Tennessee having a 2-2 division record, Houston having 3-1. I do believe they play each other one more time this season, so they'll get it figured out as to who's going to wrap up that division. But another team that's hot and only suffering by the fact that they play in the same division as the Patriots, but they play the Patriots next week on Saturday, is the Buffalo Bills, 9-4. They just lost to the Ravens, 3-1 in division, 6-3 in conference. Once again, they get in to the 5 spot. They kind of have a similar situation to Seattle and San Francisco. I'll tell you guys about that when we come back from break there. But the Buffalo Bills, 9-4, doing damn good. Surprise team this year. Josh Allen has turned out to be a damn good quarterback. They've got some solid runners there in Frank Gore, and they don't have Shady McCoy anymore because they let him go. He's in Kansas City now. But they have some good running backs, Frank Gore, and I forgot who the other kid is. I think it's Washington is his name or something. And they have got solid gambit of wide receivers and then a really good defense. So Josh Allen is making the most of his opportunities, I can tell you that much. Pittsburgh is sitting in the precious 6th spot. They have the tiebreaker over Tennessee for best win percentage in conference games. So having a better conference record than Tennessee at 6-3 puts Pittsburgh in the playoffs as of right now. And for a team that started out, I believe, like 1-4 or something like that, or 2-3, they've really turned it around and made themselves a playoff contender. So I would suspect that Pittsburgh is going to fight to the last drop to get in. I don't see them finishing 11-5 and winning out, but you never know. You never know. All right, so the Cleveland Browns have pretty much turned out to be a disgrace, but they're still sitting at the 8th spot along with the Oakland Raiders. So anything can happen there. But the Colts are sitting at 6-7. Everybody thought they were going to have this bounce back season after losing Andrew Luck, and that Jacoby Brissett was going to lead the way, and he did for a little bit. But alas, 6-7 is where they sit at now, most likely out of the playoff picture. Same thing with the Broncos and Chargers. Jets sit at 5-9. Jags looking like another 10-loss season. Miami's already there, 10 losses, and the Bengals just barely got their first win, sitting at 1-12. So that takes care of the AFC. I personally think my favorite to come out of the AFC would most likely be Baltimore. But that's unless Tom Brady and the Patriots turn into the Patriots come playoff time. And so, yeah, in my double K's classroom, I'm going to hit up on the Patriots cheating scandal, supposedly. All right. Thank you for listening to Double K's Classroom right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you find your local favorite podcasts.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type
a story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian,
Hey, this is Damon.
and we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
Tune in, folks. It's now time for Double K's Lesson of the Day.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest.
Sorry, guys, y'all gonna have to hear that one afterwards. I meant to jump in right after Lesson of the Day popped up, but my bad. Got a little lost in the Facebook world. Okay, so let me tell you something. The Patriots have been accused of cheating yet again. Here's the thing that I say. And people are going to say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Listen, the bottom line for me is this. Is there anything by watching a couple of hours worth of sideline footage of the Bengals really going to tell you? Most head coaches do not send signals in a similar way that they used to. Now they send them by covering their mouth because they're most of the time talking into a mic and speaking directly into their quarterback's helmet. So I don't understand how much information can really be gleaned from an hour and a half footage of their sidelines from the press box. So somebody would have to call me, text me, write me on Facebook, and help me understand where the issue lies with what the Patriots did. Even if they did do it on purpose, where the issue lies. It's just like I say with the Rams when they're like, oh, they were taping our practice. They can tape your practice all you want. Still doesn't mean that they can't execute. There are players out there, and I fully want you to understand that. It's not a whole league of them, but there are players out there that have photographic memories. So if they see an offensive line set up, or if they see a specific formation out of an offense, defensive players I'm talking now, or even some quarterbacks, they already know what's coming because they've seen this formation before. Once they've been in the league long enough, somebody like Tom Brady, there's probably not a defensive scheme or defensive look that you can throw at him that he hasn't seen before, which is why he still, to this day, beats most defensive looks. Does that because Tom Brady's seen all these defenses and he's beaten them before and he knows how to beat them, does that give him a competitive advantage? Does that mean we should ban Tom Brady from playing because he has too much knowledge? NFL has Game Rewind. You can go on there for like $9.99 a month and rewatch any NFL game, not just your favorite team, but any NFL game every week for 16 weeks a year. Costs you something like $150. You don't think that I could pick up by watching that film, the same film that they watch in the film room? What these players are doing, what certain hand signals mean, what certain audible calls mean, so on and so forth. You don't think I can glean that from there? Y'all are truly making a mountain out of a molehill on this when it comes to cheating. I've literally seen people in Facebook sports groups talking about strip them of their titles. They've been caught cheating too many times. Blah, 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 blah. Y'all on my nerves with this bullshit. I want you to raise your hand if your NFL team has never been caught cheating, ever. If there's any of you raising your hands, you stupid idiots, put your hands down. Because every single team in the NFL has been caught cheating in some manner or form at least once. at least once, if not multiple times. So it's just one of those things where it's just like the fact that y'all have the nerve to act like cheating isn't a daily thing in the NFL for all the teams, just in various ways. And then for y'all to act like there's that much information to be gleaned from 2 hours worth of footage of somebody's sideline. You glean more from watching the actual game itself, from taping 2 hours of the game itself. So that's just my personal opinion. Y'all can tell me in the comment section or on Facebook if y'all agree or disagree. I'll be looking forward to hearing from y'all. That's been my lesson of the day. Call cheating when it's cheating, but when it ain't, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Peace.
Tune in, folks. It's now time for Double K's Lesson of the Day.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Haven't you listened to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theunsporkensportspodcast.weebly.com.
All right, now we're going to take a look at the NFC playoff picture. A couple weeks ago, this would have been a little bit of a different show because a couple weeks ago, there was not the San Francisco 49ers were sitting in the 5 spot, and the Seattle Seahawks were sitting in the 3 spot because the Seahawks had just the Ravens had just beat the 49ers, and the Seahawks had just won their game. And so the Seahawks took over the lead in the division, and the 49ers lost their lead and moved down to number 5. But this week, all is right in the world. Now, the San Francisco 49ers sit back on top at 11-2. They're followed by the Green Bay Packers, who sit in the second spot at 10-3 because they own the tiebreak over New Orleans based off a better win percentage in conference games, with New Orleans being 8-3 and Green Bay being 7-2. San Francisco sits at 11-2 after beating New Orleans in what was pretty much the game of the year. If y'all don't agree there, y'all don't watch football. That game was a hell of a game. Don't get me wrong, though. I was a little disappointed in the fact that in what was supposed to be a battle of two squads with two of the best defenses in football, it really turned into a shootout between a guy that has established himself as one of the best quarterbacks in football and a guy who people consistently don't want to give credit for being one of the best quarterbacks in football this season. 11-2 is their record. They're looking to go 12-2 against Atlanta this week, 8-1 in the conference, 3-1 in division. They got a huge matchup with Seattle at the end of the season. Actually, they go Rams and then Seattle the last 2 games of the season. So a Seahawk loss anytime in the next 2 weeks, and the Niners win out the next 2 weeks, and the Seattle game doesn't even matter. But the Green Bay Packers have a tough schedule ahead of them. I believe they face the Bears this week. They're sitting at 10-3 with the Bears fighting to try to get into the playoffs at 7-6. So we'll see how well Green Bay does. They've been leading the division most of the year, so I wouldn't expect things to go any different other than Green Bay getting a W behind that bad man that is Aaron Rodgers. Thank you, Stephen A., for that one. well, say New Orleans Saints sitting after their loss had a chance to wrap up first place in the division because Seattle was sitting at 10-2, and would have been sitting in second place already, and New Orleans would have been able to secure first with a win over the 49ers, but they couldn't pull it off, which launched the 49ers. I forget who New Orleans has coming up this week, but they would need to win out, and San Francisco would need to lose a couple in order for them to slide up into that one spot. A team that I personally feel shouldn't be in the playoffs, not only because of the fact that they're most likely going to get in with an under 500 record or a 500 record, but also because just the way that they've played all season. Like, they've underachieved all season long. And why should you deserve a division title and a playoff berth and a home playoff game when you played like shit compared to what you were projected to and what you should have done all season long? And that's the Dallas Cowboys. 6-7, they have the tiebreak over Philadelphia due to head-to-head win earlier in the season. They do get Philadelphia again in the next week or two, but they sit at number 4 as a division leader at 6-7. If they lose to Philly and end up dropping out of the lead in the division, then they will be out of the playoffs. The same way that Philly's sitting in the 9 seed right now. They'll just flip-flop with Dallas and move up to the 4 seed, and Philly would be playing a home playoff game. The number 5 seed goes to the Seattle Seahawks, who are one game behind the 49ers in the NFC West. They're sitting at 10-3 after this loss to the Los Angeles Rams, who are sitting just outside of the playoffs at 8-5. Looking in the Chicago Bears as well at 7-6. Then you got a one-game flip where these guys most likely won't. The Eagles might make the playoffs winning the division, but the Bucs won't at 6-7, etc. So really, it's down to the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Rams, and the Bears. Really, there's about a 3-game difference between the 3 of them. And then Philly has a shot to get in by winning their division. So Seahawks sit at 10-3 and sit on top of that pile. Set 3-1 in division, 7-2 in conference. San Francisco has a better conference record as well. So I think if it came down to conference, if it tied up everywhere else and it came down to conference, that San Francisco could get in that way. But Seahawks currently sit a game behind them, but a game ahead of Minnesota, who sits at 9-4, 2-2 in their division, 7-3 overall in conference. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. Like, strength of victory. Okay. Let's see. The Vikings look like they could be a lock, but I think just like everybody else behind them, the Vikings, the Rams, and the Bears all would have to win out for even have a shot. And even with that, the playoff spots would still be decided by the time Week 16 came around, by the end of next week. So I personally would love to see the 49ers come out of the NFC, but I think it truly is the Niners beat the brakes off of Green Bay, but I don't think they would do that again in the playoffs. I think the Green Bay would put up a much bigger fight. New Orleans as well, I think, will put up a much bigger fight in Santa Clara, but we will see. But I still am going to put my money on my 49ers to make it to the Super Bowl this year against the Ravens and get their rematch and hopefully get that victory, because that would be awesome to bring it full circle that they beat us in that Super Bowl and the Ravens beat us this year when we were 2 of the top teams, and then we come back and finally in that third and final match beat them in the Super Bowl to win that Super Bowl championship. That would be beautiful, and beautiful revenge for that Super Bowl championship that was taken away from us, our number 6 back in 2012. So that's it for tonight, y'all. I hope y'all have enjoyed. Let me say this. Antonio Brown is a fool. I don't know what the hell possesses him to do what he does, but he does. And he'll continue to make himself a fool and not be a part of this league anymore. But, oh well, that's on him. And wish me luck. I am in the playoffs. I'm still in the championship round in one of my playoffs for my money leagues. The other ones I've been knocked out in round 1. Just do a bad week for all of my guys. But I'm hopefully still going to continue out and finish in a decent spot. But y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you next week with KW's 5th period music class. Look on the website to see who you'll be voting for. Oh no, this one's a special one. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, and it's 80s female bands for Listener's Choice 29 this week. So I hope you guys are there to join me, and look on the website or on my Twitter page, KK Double, to find out who you're going to be voting for. Till next week, peace.